There we go. Welcome to Go Lurk Yourself, a podcast about playing video games and streaming on the internet. Hello, my name is Crunky.
Hi, I'm Cherry Cake.
Welcome to the first of several, hopefully all live episodes that we're doing for a while. Before we get going too far, are we good on volume, D? How are you doing, Cherry?
Doing all right. I think the last couple of weeks I probably fared better than you.
Well, yeah, I guess you could say that. For those of you guys who missed the episode last week or missed us having an episode, I spent a couple of days in the hospital. I decided to go ahead and get hypertension in my 40s, and apparently that can be bad. Who knew?
Yeah.
I went in for a cough, and they're like, yeah, we're going to send you to the emergency room because your heart rate or your blood pressure is like massive, and you're probably going to die if we don't. I'm like, what?
Always good.
I still think they were over-exaggerating a little bit. But
yeah, doctors, what do they know?
Exactly. I mean, come on. What do you guys think? Anyway, I'm back, but you've been okay?
Yeah, nothing exactly new here, so yeah.
You enjoying the summer and the heat wave that is, or you guys just had a heat wave. You're back off of it now?
Yeah, we're back to the usual British weather of grey gloominess.
We had
that's our summer gone.
We had a really nice day yesterday. It was like in the mid 80s, which I think we said is like 24, 23 degrees Celsius. And we went to the pool, and because it was a little overcast and there was no weather in the forecast, no rain in the forecast, but it looked like it could rain. Nobody showed up. So we got the whole pool to ourselves for a while. Well, there was like 10 people there total when there's usually 100. So that was awesome. But we have been playing Mario Golf. What is it called? Super Rush?
I was saying, did you forget the name of the game that we were
No,
playing?
I was leading you into saying it, and you let me down. Sorry.
Sorry. Comedic timing failed there. Sorry.
Well, I was going to give you shit for falling asleep before the podcast, but then I slept for like 2.5 hours this morning. We were supposed to record 2
nodded
hours
off.
ago.
No, I did not fall asleep. I nodded off for like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And then I think a passing car woke me up. I was like, oh shit. Okay. So let's get up.
Yeah, well, I was going to give you shit about it because we were sitting here waiting to start. And then I was like, wait a minute. I slept past the time we were supposed to start this morning already. So
yeah,
I don't have a leg to stand
by
on.
about 2 hours.
Well, the reason I overslept was because I stayed up till like 1:30 in the morning playing the single player of this, and I finished it last night. It was
You stayed until 1:30, so you slept in until... Wait, what time would it be?
Yeah, so I got up at 8, and I took care of the dog, and I took my brand new bucket of horse pills I have to take every day for my medication, for my heart thing. And then I dozed off and slept till like noon, 12:30. You know. But I went swimming yesterday for like 2 hours, so I'm tired.
Okay.
We got to count it.
Sure.
So this is your first golf game. And those of you guys who listened to the podcast previously where we talked about looking forward to this, my wife, Sunny D, and I, we've been looking forward to this one for a while because we used to play the N64 and GameCube one a lot at our house back when we were first married. So this is like super awesome for us when this finally came out. Of course, I think I may have ruined D on the game already by throwing her to the wolves Friday. We were going to do a co-stream, but then I was making dinner before Friday when the game came out, right as she got off work. I'm like, hey, come down here and take over while I finish making dinner, and then we'll swap out. And she came in during the live stream, sat here, and I just handed her controller, and she's like, how does the game control? And we kind of talked her through it, but
Oh, you did not. You just gave her the controller and you were gone. And me and Wally were like, right, Dee, do you know how to play? Have you played this? Like, no. So then we were like, well, we expected Crunk to at least tell you something, but clearly you didn't. You were more bothered about food.
I meant Wally, you and me as the collective we helped. I helped when I got back.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a bit of a rough one, I think. Did we lose our background here? Yeah, okay, it has to be open, apparently. Who knew? All right. Sorry about that. This is we're doing if you're listening just to the audio of this, we are doing a live video feed of this today. So if you hear us talking about video stuff, apologize. We're kind of learning the ropes of doing this. We're going to be recording it live. We're going to be putting it on YouTube every week on youtube.com/golurkyourself. So look for it there if you want to see the video feed of this. Anyway, Mario's Golf Super Rush. What were your first impressions, Cherry?
I was very on the fence about it. Because like you mentioned earlier, I'd never really played a golf game. I've played Golf Story. Golf Story, is that what it's called?
Yeah, I think so. Good little
there's like a little... Yeah. It's like a very, very simple game for the Switch, which is really good. I really like Golf Story. It's a cute little fun game. It's not very serious, and the golfing techniques in it aren't particularly in depth. So you convinced me to get this. Or you were in the process of convincing me to get this, and then you showed me. You shared some reviews of it with me, and after watching them, they were very, very lukewarm reviews. So I was a bit. I don't really know if I want to spend that much money on a game like this, which is not setting the world on fire. But you convinced me in the end to get it, and I can say that I've actually had an absolute blast with it. Yeah,
I think the review process for this game, and a lot of people don't know because it's not the most popular, but this is a really long running series. The first NES golf game that had Mario in it was in the 80s on the NES, and it was always it was the bridge between super realistic and accessible, because if you ever played golf games back in like the 90s, 80s and 90s on PC, they were like vector graphic simulation games that you had to key in your club numbers, you had to key in your angles. Like it took a lot of because there were, you got to remember, this was like back before 2-button mice interfaces were a thing, or very common. Most people didn't have a mouse back when these games came out, so it was all keyboard inputs, and it was supposed to be like a hobbyist, like adult nerd thing. I remember as a kid going, "Who wants to play this shit?" It took like 5 minutes just to load the level because it was advanced graphics for the time to draw a 3D plane, and have vertices and angles and things. And it was just, and I didn't know how to play golf either then. I was probably like 10, so I didn't give a shit. But I'm talking like late 80s. So I think NES Golf was the first golf game that I'm aware of, and I'm sure I'm wrong. There are probably better golf games out there than what I've been exposed to, but it was the first one I ever saw that was like, oh, okay, this could be arcadey and kind of fun too, and you get a little bit of the golf challenge with it. So,
but genuinely, before this one was announced, the only other one that I have seen ever of this series is one that Barb was playing, which is the N64 version, which we were talking about just then.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, apparently there's one for the GameCube and one for the 3DS as well.
Yeah, and that's why I think these reviewers had like different expectations, and why you'll see a 9 and then you'll see a 6. It's not because the game was really shitty for that person. It just wasn't what they were expecting. The mobile ones kind of went off on their own with the expectation of having a lot more daily challenge content and things that weren't in the home console version. So this is the first home console version since the GameCube, 20 years ago almost, if not, very close to. And this presentation has less courses, but it has more stuff to do in it than the GameCube version. And I know that was 20 years ago. We should have a lot more than that, but I think it kind of shows what Nintendo's expectation is different for the mobile ones versus the home console. And I know, the Switch being both, everybody gets to be disappointed. You know what I mean? Because it's not it is a mobile device to most people,
Yeah, but they have said, they stated even at the announcement, the launch of it, that there is more content coming for it. There will be more content released. So hasn't there already been some previews of the new or another course?
Yeah, I think in the treehouse, the video footage we're showing behind, they showed a New Donk City course.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I
it
thought I
could
heard
be.
that. Yeah.
It looks like there's been 12 releases. This is not in chronological order, but we've got the N64 Mario Golf. It was just called Mario Golf on the N64. Then there's one for the Game Boy Color by the same name. The GameCube had Mario Golf Toadstool Tour, and then Game Boy Advance had Advance Tour. And then on the 3DS, the one I played a lot of that the IGN guy seemed to be really missing the features from, to me, was Mario Golf World Tour on the 3DS, which was super like almost like a mobile game. You know how in a mobile game you'll log in and they'll have like, here's today's daily stuff to do, and then you'll collect stars, and there's like a longer term reason to check in over and over and over again.
Yeah.
That game felt like that to me. I played it for a good like month every day before something came out and I lost interest.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then there's the older ones, the 1984. It's just called Golf for the NES. It's Mario on the cover, but it doesn't really. You know it's Mario, but it doesn't say him. And then in Japan, there was the they brought out for the Famicom the Japan courses and the USA courses, and then NES Open, and I don't know what mobile golf is. And Mario Sports Superstars had a golf mode in it, which was heavily influenced by this series. But
slightly off topic, just while you're there with all the releases, I was watching a stream this morning, and the streamer was playing Mario Golf, and someone in chat actually posted a link to Lee Carvalho's
putting challenge.
Putting challenge, yeah. It was like a little, like it was a game, but it was only like very minimally interactive. So it was basically what Bart does on The Simpsons, where he gets introduced. He picks you can choose between a putter or a driver, and then you can choose between a feathered touch or a power drive. And depending on which one you do, you might end up into the parking lot. So.
Oh my goodness! So someone made a game about that Simpsons reference. Nice.
Yeah, it's so funny.
When everyone knows we should be playing Bone Storm instead.
Yes.
So Friday night we started playing this. Wally, D, you, and me. We had Plastic Phoenix from our community chat of chatters got on and played, and man, we had a good time. I think we played probably 3 hours total, maybe a little bit more.
Yeah, I'd say about that. Yeah.
Well, and you and I and Snuffus played earlier in the day before stream.
Yeah. So and Snuffus kicked our butts on it as well.
That's all that dude does is play golf games and racing games. But I remember you were like the next day you got up in the morning and you were doing a over at Twitch TV .cherry with 3 R's. You were doing a stream.
Wow, you fucked that up, mate.
Cherry cake with 3 R's.
No, Twitch TV .cherry cake. What the fuck?
Twitch.tv/cherry cake with 3 R's.
How many times have you? Oh my god. Okay. Yes. Yeah. You got it there.
Yeah. All right. So we got there at the end. You got your plug. Shut up.
Thanks.
You were playing this in the morning. You were playing the solo stuff, and then when we left to go to the pool. You went to take a lunch break, and I got back. And you're like, I'm gonna be playing Celeste when you guys get back. I'm like, okay, cool. We come home and you're playing Mario Golf again, and I'm like, what happened?
Yeah.
Celeste not? I thought maybe it was tech issues or something was wrong with the game. Maybe the controller didn't work. And you're like, no, I can't stop playing Mario Golf. I just
wanted to play it. I started playing the single player on stream when I first started the stream on Saturday anyway, and it does start a little bit slow.
Yeah.
The first sort of area is very, very handholdy. It really throws you in at like the basic level, as if you haven't ever played a game before, ever. Not just a golf game, just a game. So it's very like, do you know how to do this? Okay, we'll show you. Okay. Then like 30 minutes later, do you remember how to do this? Or we can show you again if you really want to. I'm like, no, you've literally just shown me how to do it.
I'll tell you what I appreciate about this game, though. You're right. It's very handholdy. And I know I know all Nintendo gets is feedback that we don't know how to do this. We don't know how to do this. You guys aren't teaching us enough. But because they've talked about it in the past, but at least in this game they ask, do you want to hear this again? And you can just say, no, thanks.
Yes. I am very grateful for the option of, you don't have to check me. You don't have to actually listen to me. You can just say no and walk away.
It's like the owl in Ocarina of Time, if you've ever played that.
God. One thing, just slightly off topic as well, the one thing that annoys me the most with the owl is when you get to the end of his spiel and he's like, do you want to hear this again? I swear to God, the first option is yes.
Yes.
So you're spamming the button to get through the text.
Yep.
And it gets to the end and you keep spamming it and you're like, yes, I want to hear it. Oh, no, I don't. And then he just goes through it again.
And almost as an homage to the owl in the new Skyward Sword remake that's coming out, they fixed a lot of this. But in the original release, Fee was the Master Sword spirit, would come out of and talk to you. And she had this weird, like, we talked about this, these squeaky voice, what do they call that from it started out with Banjo-Kazooie, but it's been in a ton of games since, including the not Mii's, but Simlish. It's kind of like that. She talks with like a robotic sound because she's very math focused. She loves math, and she makes a point to tell you how much she loves math during the game. and she does the same thing. She was like, do you want to hear all this again? And if you're spamming, you're just going to hit yes again. She goes like, no, Fee, shut up, Fee. Shut up, Fee. No one gives a shit, Fee. There's a YouTuber named Peanut Butter Gamer who has a whole episode about how much he hates Fee. It's awesome.
God. But is Fee worse than Navi?
Yeah, I would say, because Navi annoys you but doesn't interrupt you as much. She does say hey. She will interrupt you at like important times, but she'll say hey, hey, listen, but she doesn't interrupt you as much as Fee does. Fee, you're in the middle of the game and it just stops, and Fee flies out of the sword and lands in front of you and says, do you know about how to do this thing? Yeah, you mean the thing you taught me 4 hours ago that I've been doing nonstop since? Yeah, I don't need to hear it again, bitch. Shut up.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
But yeah, the single player of this, I've read the reviews, and the reviewers aren't wrong to criticize some of the stuff. It does have like you said, it's like baby's first JRPG. It feels like when you're playing it. In fact, something I love, but I understand how some people would be annoyed by it, is they literally at all times there's a red arrow hanging off your character pointing which way you need to go. And at first I was like, this is annoying. And then I looked at how the map system worked on there, how you had to warp from place to place, and you'd have to go from one map, you'd warp and then turn right and warp again. I'm like, why is this not all just connected together? Why does this have to be
Yeah. I wonder, is that potentially because of the capabilities of the Switch, or is that just a style choice that they've done?
It's probably the capabilities of Switch, or at least how much open world they could show at one time. That's my guess, but I don't know. We're watching the treehouse footage right now behind us, and it shows the little red arrow on him on their Mii character.
Yeah, I'm very grateful for that, because there was one point where you get to a point where you can go and talk to these like special characters, and they will teach you certain special techniques. And I did the first guy, and then when I progressed a little bit further, I went back to the same guy, and it was like, oh, you've got to go seek out this other guy, which is they're called masters.
Yeah.
And I was like, please tell me where this guy is, because I do not want to go. There are so many characters in this that have the speech bubble. I think pretty much everyone has a speech bubble above their head.
Yeah.
And there's no guarantee that when you talk to them, it will be like a proper conversation. Sometimes it's just like a line of text, just to state something. So I didn't want to have to go around to each character and trying to find out which guy I needed to talk to. So I'm incredibly grateful for that little red arrow.
I was just like you. I'm exactly the same. I loved having that arrow at all times, because then I didn't have to work. I actually listened to podcasts while I played the game last night, because it's nice. The story is that uninteresting. It's even at the very end, it turns in. There's kind of a twist at the end. You don't fight Bowser at the end. He ends up being on your team.
A Mario game, and we're not fighting Bowser.
But it's one of the weird Mario games where like Bowser and Mario go golfing together. I mean, they can. So like
Somebody calls a truce.
Yeah, like time out on our lifelong battle while we hit 9 over here on the on the sandy trails.
We don't want to kill each other. We're going to play golf.
Yeah, or race cars or play tennis, or they get around.
Yeah,
but the story goes from being a golf challenge. Like I saw you playing the one where you're up in the windy mountains where the tornado guys are everywhere, and that one is just
one.
Yeah, that one seems padded out. Like okay, here's 3 courses doing this, or here's 3 holes doing this. Here's 6. Here's 18. And at the end of the game, all the challenges are 18-hole challenges. And
Yeah.
if you guys know golf, if your character gets stuck, they actually put in a command to unstick your character for a 1-stroke penalty if you get stuck somewhere that you can't hit out of. And you're like, that seems like a cheap workaround. But then I realized the alternative to that is to hit it 18 times in the same mountain straight up and it doesn't go over and there's nothing you can do. Especially if you haven't unlocked the lob shot yet.
Well, that happened when I think was it me, you, and Wally. I think it was when we were playing on stream. I hit, or I didn't. My shot wasn't powerful enough, so I landed like down this cliff face, and I was just expecting it to say out of bounds or a foul shot or whatever. It didn't. It just put me in front of I was literally like a foot in front of this cliff, and a cliff behind me. Yeah, and I was like, well, what do I do? Because I can't physically get back up the cliff because it's just in front of my face. So. Yeah, I think it was you that told me that if you go to the main, if you press the little plus button to take you to like the star menu, it's an option there that, well, stupidly, actually, no, because what happened was I was like, oh, for God's sake, I'm stuck. So I just took a shot and I banked it off the mountain and just landed in the same place pretty much.
Yeah.
So then you told me about the go back a shot. And I was like, oh yeah, I can do that. And then I realized I'd already taken a shot. So if I'd gone back anyway, I would have still been in the same position because I'd already taken another shot. So I had to forfeit that fucking hole anyway.
I don't know if it sends you back one. I think it just moves you up to like the...
it sends you back. It says you can take the previous shot that you had.
Oh, is that what it told you? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I've used it once or twice, but on the solo challenge mode in the single player. So like what it did is it just took me... It took me away from where I was and put me like back in the middle of the fairway for a 1-stroke penalty. Must be different in multiplayer.
Yeah, I'm wondering if it might be.
Yeah, the single player though was toward the end. It's basically turns into Mario boss fights where there's like a trick to beating them and you have to do it 3 times. And the one thing I will say, sorry, about the single player is that even if you fail a challenge, you still get XP credit for what you did. So like, you failed the challenge, but you get all the XP and your character levels up. I think I was like level 62 by the end of it. And I don't know I don't know if that's high or not, but I guess you can just keep going back as your character and leveling them up and then take them online. Which if for the, whoever hosts the room online, when you play online, they can choose whether or not to allow me characters in. And me characters can be anything from the starting character the day you get the game to, tricked out characters who have plus stats in all the control and power and speed. Because one of the things they give you in the as you level up your characters, you can get the stock Nintendo characters are all kind of a variety. The power hitters hit harder, but they're weaker in control. And different characters have different stats that way. But your me character can be a good all arounder and be really good at everything, especially if you fail a lot and level up. And I'm here to tell you, I failed a lot of these challenges. The very first invitational I did against Pink Yoshi and Toad, I lost because Toad sunk. He chipped in 4 out of 9 holes. He chipped in from outside. Go ahead.
Toad can actually kiss my ass in this game.
Yes, he's the worst.
So I don't know if it's just rubber banding or if they intentionally made him difficult to beat, but I failed twice on I think it was the 3rd or 4th course. You have to play him in I think it's nine holes, and it's a speed golf game, so you have to do it in a certain amount of time. And he was just doing ridiculous shots, like you said. Like he'd land on the edge of the green and then just casually chip it in. It just doesn't work. And then the next hole he'd do something stupid like land it in the deep rough. So I don't understand what they were doing with him in that one.
There were multiple times where I found myself yelling at the top of my lungs, "Fuck you, Toad!" And I thought, that's sometimes we yell in my house very loud. My daughter's upstairs.
Yeah.
But I had a good time with it. I kind of like you. I saw the reviews and I was like, ooh, and I see what they're getting at. I don't think they're wrong. I mean, especially if their expectation for what Mario Golf should be is different than what Nintendo decided to go with the Switch. I could totally understand. Like I listened to the IGN podcast where I don't remember his name, but the guy that reviewed it for IGN and gave it a 6 out of 10. They basically were like, defend yourself, or why did you give it such a low score? Because they're getting a lot of feedback. I'm sure IGN gets, no matter what review they put out, they get tons of feedback where people, yelling at the reviewer. But I understand where he's coming from, and he's right. For if he wanted it to be more, daily challenge, feature rich kind of stuff from the 3DS version, that's all gone in this one. And this is just literally bare bones, set you up for multiplayer. Here's one thing I will say that I was surprised by: we didn't have much online trouble. We played it multiplayer on launch day, and I think we had a couple of times where we couldn't get the room started, but it was all the disconnects or any issues we had were like setting it up, not in gameplay. Nobody disconnected the entire time I played all weekend, which I know it's a low bar, but I'll give Nintendo credit because that's usually something that they will fuck up.
What was the last game that we were talking about online play, and it was absolute garbage? I can't remember what it was. It wasn't like Mario Kart or something like that, was it?
No, it was a Nintendo game though.
Obviously. I can't remember. There was one that we had real trouble with trying to get good connections to each other, and I can't remember what it was. I
know we couldn't, not in a Nintendo game, but we could not even play Valheim. I remember that. Valheim wouldn't work overseas.
I seem to remember a Nintendo one that we tried playing, but yeah, the online is pretty decent. I mean, I'm in the UK, Crunk's in the US, and we didn't seem to have any particular noticeable lag, at least anyway, that we had issues with. So, like, grats to them for trying to sort that out.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh, right here on the IGN show, they're showing one of the boss fights. Have you done this already, Cherry?
No, I have not.
Okay. This is when you discover your firepower, you have to fight this giant phoenix bird thing, and literally you run around and dodge shots from it, and then there's spots on the map where that can pop up where you can take shots at him with a golf club. It's pretty funny.
So I have a question, right? So when you're going through the I can't remember is it called adventure mode?
Adventure mode. Yeah, golf adventure, I think is what it's called.
Golf adventure, yeah. So when you go through that mode, like I was saying earlier, you meet the master people and you learn all these new shots and stuff. You remember when you go to, I think it's the first one, and you learn the really powerful shot that destroys the boulder to release the water?
Yep.
Do you ever use that? What is the point of using it? Like knowing that?
You'll use it in some of the cutscenes and story mode cutscenes later on.
Okay.
So,
all right.
And then you'll use the ability that you get from this Phoenix here on the video. You'll use that when you get to the ice map.
But learning these special shots, there is no use for them in just a normal game of golf.
Actually, yeah, you can. The lob shot you learned?
The lob shot, yeah. That's fine, yeah.
And then your fire ability that you learn from this Phoenix, it becomes your special shot.
Oh, all right, okay.
Now, the breaking the rock one you're talking about, I don't know if I've seen a use for that in multiplayer or not. I don't know if that's a thing. Okay. It might be. We just haven't run into it yet, or it might not be. Maybe you can use it if you find them in the multiplayer. I know spoiler alert, there's only 6 maps in this game, and that includes the tutorial or the beginner or the beginner course too. But there's only 6 courses, 18 holes, which is 4 less than the
at the moment at least.
One. Yeah, exactly. But you can only gauge it by what it is today, right?
Yeah.
But the last one is Bowser's Castle. And there's a bunch of obstacles and weird stuff in there that you just don't see. So like I think like when I hear people talk about how there's only 6 courses in this, and I was reading these reviews and I'm like, do you remember the N64 version? Do you remember how many maps it had? And most people will say no, it had more than 6, but everyone only played like 3 or 4 because some of them were just filler, or some of them were really annoying because they'd have like this weird gimmick. I remember, I think it was Yoshi's course that was like super high. Everything was out of bounds. If you hit off the green at all, it was out of bounds or off the fairway.
Oh,
so it was like, I remember we had our favorites, but and a lot of them toward the end were really like almost like Rainbow Road type, where everything was a picture from the sky. One was a bomb, and you had to land just on it, and if you didn't land just on it, it was going in the lava. So it's like I I understand. I'd rather have, and I'm not saying these are great courses because some people said that the music in this was not good, and it is very repetitive.
Yes, it is.
You were pointing out on your stream yesterday. You're like, "Oh, I see what Barbara's saying about this." Because
Yeah, I didn't notice it until it's one of those things where you don't notice it until someone says it.
Yeah.
And then I think I was sat on the green waiting to putt, and then all of a sudden I kept hearing it loop and loop and loop. It's literally like 5 or 10 seconds worth of music that just loops. I don't know. I don't understand if they've just cut a corner with that or if that was an intentional thing that they've put in the game, but it's not a good choice either way.
Exactly. I agree with you 100%. It was, it left a lot to be desired. I'll say that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I also noticed that like during my stream, I opted to put on like a Spotify Mario playlist rather than have what was there in the background on the game. So I actually went in the menus, and during gameplay while we were golfing, I was able to turn off music. So it's the only music was during the menus, which was really nice because no matter how good they did with the music, you can't beat 20 hours of Spotify playlists.
Yeah, true. That's true.
So overall, you're glad that you got it?
I am. Yeah, I'm still working my way through the story mode, and I think it will. I think the longevity of it will come probably from the multiplayer. Obviously, I think that's probably what it was more aimed at.
It definitely feels like it. Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully, a lot more hours to come, and especially when like they start introducing or whatever they're going to bring with the updates.
Right.
Yeah. Hopefully, it'll give it some more legs.
Just for those of you guys who've got the game and are wondering, you do not have to play adventure mode to unlock the maps. Some reviewers have said that, and it feels like that's the way it's set up, but because they open quicker if you play adventure mode, because once you get to that course in the adventure, it has to open up. But our friend Snuffus opened up multiple courses without ever playing the adventure mode. So just know that that's an option. If you just play a lot of golf on the single player, even multiplayer, it'll unlock courses. If you beat the adventure mode, you unlock the last one automatically, all of them automatically. And I've not even played it other than what I did in the adventure mode. I unlocked Bowser's Castle last night. But when you get there in the adventure mode, it's half frozen over though, so it's really interesting. And I think that's where you use those attacks, those special rock breakers. You can hit them with your special attacks.
Yeah.
However, I ended up, I think I cheesed the last boss. The last boss is this, it took me like probably 6 tries, because you land there and there's these beaming, these like colored crystals on the outside that are beaming a laser into the last boss and putting up a shield. You have to run around, avoid what the boss does, hit a golf ball or hit a bomb actually at those crystals and blow them up. That drops the shield. Once the shield comes down, the boss will throw a giant snowball at you, and you will dodge the snowball, land on top of it, and that'll set you up for the redirect that you learn, where you can dust up snow, and that dust up of snow or sand will deflect whatever he's throwing at you. So it's sort of like the lob, where the little circle comes in, and you got to stop it just the right spot. Have you seen that yet?
No, I haven't. No.
It's a game mechanic that you open up when you find the lob from the totally not a Jedi in the robe.
No, I have literally just done that. I do remember it. You have to lob the ball into the pots in it. Yeah.
Yeah, and what happens when you do that? You set your power, and then it shows a whole brand new mechanic, 3/4 or almost to the end of the game comes in, and the little circle comes in on the screen, and you have to stop it right where the little donut is in the middle of your screen, and it can be tricky, especially when it's 1:30 in the morning and you've done this 8 times, and if it doesn't work one more time, you're going to break your controller.
I think when the not Jedi Cooper was teaching me how to do it, I think I must have missed the first time when you learned the closing thing with the circle. I must have missed it about 8 times.
Yeah, it's not easy.
I could not get the timing down. I was like, too early or too late. I absolutely fluffed it.
And I know there's, especially with the Wiimotes and the Pro Controller, there's just a tad bit of input delay on the Switch. It's been there since launch, and that's really hard to, like, once you get used to that, if you do any kind of change to your setup, and I'm playing it through OBS, which probably adds another little bit of input delay as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man.
So I would switch back to the TV in my living room. We have a dock in there, and I'll just pop it in there and play at night. So that's what I was doing last night. But I enjoyed the adventure mode. It had its frustrating moments, but what game doesn't have a moment that's either a spike in difficulty or it's 1:30 in the morning and you're struggling to grasp the concept. But the thing I was saying about the last boss is at the very end, these ice crystals form around the color crystals that shoot the lasers out. And I think I'm supposed to break those, but I ended up lobbing a bomb over his shield wall. It killed him anyway. So I think I cheesed him that way.
Nice.
Because I couldn't remember how to do the move to break the crystal or break the rock.
I'll remember that for when I come across him.
Yeah, but it was a good time. But it definitely had its moments. But it is short. They say 4 to 5, 6 hours to do it. Like if you fail as much as I do, you'll get your full 6 hours out of it. But
I was going to say it just depends on how much you do fail. So yeah, I'm with you on that.
For a game I bought only for multiplayer anyway, that's just gravy. That's just extra that I was happy to play, and now I'll be able to take my me out there in multiplayer and be able to hang with the big dogs. Hopefully.
Yeah. Is there a cap on the stats that you can get for your me?
I don't know, because I finished the game at level 61. I'm going to go back into adventure mode and see if it lets me just go in and play stuff and still level up.
Yeah,
because I would imagine there'd have to be, otherwise that's all you'd run into online unless you turned that off. There are no unlockable characters, just FYI.
At the moment,
yeah, they could add new characters in for sure. Hopefully they would add more routine content as we go along. Maybe something that'll come up like a challenge every week or something. Who knows?
I'm wondering if, because they already have like quite a good selection of characters. I'm wondering if they were to introduce some more, who they would put in.
Oh well, Cherry, I'm glad you asked, because I happen to have a list of every character who's been in, which ones have not been in.
Okay.
Here are the people that are not in Super Rush who have been in a game before: Baby Luigi, Baby Mario, Birdo.
Okay.
Birdo's in this, but not as a playable character. This is Diddy Kong, Foreman Spike, Gold Mario, Kamek. Koopa Troop is not a playable character in this. Metal Mario, which, those are all variations. Paratroopa, variation. Who's this? Nabbit is not in this one. He's in the 3DS version.
Yeah.
Petey Piranha, Pink Gold Peach, Shadow Mario, and Toadette. Toadette is in it, but obviously she's not a playable character.
Yeah.
In the NES, in the NES version, the only playable character in that one was Mario.
Yep. House's choice.
Yeah. Oh, but so what do you guys think? Or what do you guys think? I just looked at chat and started talking like I was streaming again. What do you think, Cherry? What would you give Mario Golf overall out of 10?
I'd probably put it between a 7 and 8.
Yeah, that's fair. I'd give it an 8. But I don't fault anybody who scores it lower. I get where they're coming from, but for me, what I expected, what I wanted out of it, it's supplied in spades. So
yeah, I don't think if you're gonna get it, don't expect a massively in-depth solo career game out of it. It's definitely aimed towards the multiplayer market. So if you have friends that have it and you want to mess around on it a little bit, I would say this is probably a very good game to play with that on that level.
Agreed. All right. Well, have you been playing anything else? Do you want to talk about anything else before we get into Q&A?
Not really. A bit of Mario Galaxy, but I think we may have covered that already anyway. So
yeah, we talked about that last week.
Yeah, that's probably about it.
I want to just mention a shout out to a little game that I found while I was in the hospital. I couldn't play a whole lot of. I didn't bring the Switch in because they had me hooked up to all this stuff. I couldn't exactly play games all the time, but I played this mobile game called Retro Bowl, which was is like a Tecmo Bowl but a mobile game, and it has touch controls where you can kind of fling the ball and you can run the ball, and it's the simplest little thing, but for NFL fans, it was just super fun. It was you manage you manage the teams, you manage the roster, and you had to balance the budget and everything week over week. It had just enough stuff to keep me. I kept. I played it for like an hour. And I'm like, okay, that's enough. And I put it down and I'm like, nah, I'm gonna play some more. I played here and there, and I ended up playing that more than like any game I've played in a while. And it was just a stupid little mobile game, but I had a lot of fun with it. So it's called Retro Bowl, and it's free on iOS and Android, and you can pay $1 to unlock the full version, which all they do is give you a little bit of in-game currency to spend on your team. But $1, what are you gonna, that's all I ever spent on it the entire time. And you know me, I don't play a lot of mobile games. In fact, I got a big tablet when I was in there to be able to play stuff. I thought I need to get something like Slay the Spire and just play something to keep my mind occupied between, getting jabbed with a needle every hour. And I ended up playing that stupid football game almost the entire time. But it was fun. All right. Well, we're going to mark this at the minute or 1 hour, 9 minutes. That way I'll know where to end the episode. We'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Yeah, bye. Do you want to do a proper ending?
Yeah, we'll do a proper ending. Go ahead.
Wait, no, you usually do it.
Cherry, where can people get a hold of you to complain about your opinions about what you think about video games?
There you go. If you want to throw me some abuse, feel free to. I'm on Twitter. That's twitter.com. So I am at cherrycake518. I remembered it. I'm also on Twitch, guys, as well as what Crunk mentioned earlier. That's twitch.tv/cherrycake with 3 R's.
I'm on Twitter at CrunkyTTV with 2 N's. And I'm also at Crunky I'm at twitch.tv/Crunky. You guys who are watching here on the stream already know that because you're here. But anyway, we will see you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.